Hello and welcome to This American Land. I'm Caroline Ravel.
And I'm Bruce Burkhart. A spectacular gorge in northern New Mexico is a flyway for migratory birds, and it cuts right through an important habitat for elk and deer. It's also an area where Hispanic culture, with its hunting and fishing, grazing and gathering, has thrived for hundreds of years.
Congress is considering a bill to protect it as the Rio Grande del Norte National Conservation Area. Gary Stryker has our story.
It has a violent volcanic past, built by explosions, lava flows, and a great cleavage in the Earth's crust. After millions of years, it is still a forbidding land, but with very special attractions.
The geologic beauty, the unique opportunity for solitude, the silence of the canyon, and the spiritual aspect of the culture and the people that live here make this a very unique area that's been that way for many, many generations.
Nice piece of pottery right at the base of the ash deposit.
Humans have been drawn here in northern New Mexico for millennia.
Within the landscape that the site is located in, we found artifacts that probably date as early as 10,000 years.
And today, it still commands fascination and awe from those who stop to explore it and from those who live here.
You come here and you find calm.
ESTHER Garcia is the mayor of the nearby village of Questa. Her family has farmed here for 11 generations.
You can just sit here for hours and just look at the clouds, look at the mountains, look at the river, and it's just beautiful.
ESTHER's family shares history with many Hispanic descendants in this area. A history of rough frontier life with few luxuries and endless hard labor.
This is rugged country, a dry sagebrush plateau between huge volcanic cinder cones. But the Rio Grande runs right through it, and that is what attracted Spanish settlers here from the south about 200 years ago.
In this arid high desert, the river made it possible to irrigate farmland and water livestock. The Rio Grande in this deep gorge is still a mountain river, young and fast, headed south to mark the international border with Mexico for hundreds of miles. The gorge itself is a spectacular tourist attraction, plunging 800 feet to the river below, and a whitewater river run known as the Box, a major asset for tourist-related businesses here, like Cisco Guevara's.
Tourism is a very important economic part of the New Mexico economy. So the more we protect the water and the land that the rafting happens in, the better you're protecting the economy.
Protecting this wild and dramatic landscape is considered so important by many that there's a bill in Congress to protect much of it, including the River Gorge Corridor, 2 mountain wilderness areas, and a high plateau between them. Altogether, some 236,000 acres that would form the Rio Grande del Norte National Conservation Area, a measure wildlife advocates strongly support.
You know, you're looking at the diversity of ecosystems and what lies in the Rio Grande del Norte that offers itself to calving grounds for migratory elk herds and deer herds, and now there's actually a good population of bighorn sheep in the Rio Grande corridor. From a wildlife standpoint, there's just so many different species out there.
For countless migratory birds, the gorge is a critical part of the north-south Rio Grande Migratory Flyway. Its cliffs offering key nesting sites for raptors, like golden eagles and red-tailed hawks.
Neotropical migratory songbirds in the spring. You'll just see the banks lined with western tanagers or Wilson warblers or white-crowned sparrows, and there's just a freeway of birds midair traveling back and forth. So it's a really, really magnificent wildlife area.
I think he fished this already, Nick. Yeah.
And then there's the fishing, up against wild trout and pike.
Everybody talks about what trout fishing must have been like 100 years ago. Well, here at the Rio Grande, you can still have that.
And it's really untouched by the hand of man.
Beyond the river gorge, the conservation area would also protect vital migratory habitat for elk and antelope on the Taos Plateau, and on its east and west, 2 key wilderness areas on iconic landforms, Mount San Antonio and Ute Mountain. At more than 10,000 feet and roadless, Ute Mountain is an island of undisturbed forested highlands and a vital habitat for the region's large mammals. Claire COTE and her firefighter husband Chris live off the grid in the shadow of Ute Mountain.
Ute Mountain is unique because it's a standalone mountain in the middle of a vast prairie, and elk and bear and all kinds of wildlife use it as a sanctuary.
And then you have the gorge almost adjacent to it that creates even a richer habitat.
Establishing the conservation area and wilderness would prohibit any future development, including oil and gas exploration, but would allow local traditional uses of the area to continue.
The grazing, the fishing, the hunting, the herb gathering, all of that to us should be preserved. That's part of our culture and our history.
That's a big reason why most of those who live here are strong supporters of the proposed law.
There's a philosophy in northern New Mexico that goes this way: you can take my wife or take my husband, but don't touch my land, my water, or my grazing traditions.
There was a lot of questions that were being asked, and I think once some of those questions were answered, people were fine with it as long as we had some input into the bill that was going to be proposed.
Supporters also include Native Americans in the nearby Taos Pueblo, who were instrumental in reintroducing bighorn sheep to the river corridor.
It's important because a lot of the species that live in that corridor come in and out. If that easement isn't there, we won't have much animals that the Indian people depend on as food and clothing and shelter.
It seems almost everyone here backs the bill in Congress, and there seems to be one worry that unites just about everyone on the Rio Grande del Norte.
If this thing starts to get mined and logged and subdivisions built all over it, it's going to lose that special quality, and everybody's of the same mind because we are of the land and water. Protecting it protects our lives, protects our livelihoods.